The 2026 regulations were supposed to be the great equalizer. Instead, they might have created the next dynasty. Mercedes have won the first 3 Grand Prix of the season. They opened with a 1-2 in Australia and have not looked back. Both drivers sit at the top of the standings, and the most unsettling part is not the speed. It is how comfortable they already look. So the question now is not whether Mercedes is the top contender for the championship, it's which team will step up to challenge them before time runs out, and what Mercedes understood about the new rules before anyone else. Mercedes are dangerous because 2026 is not an engine formula pretending to be something else. It is an integration formula. The MGU-H is gone. The MGU-K is up to 350 kilowatts. About half the power is now electrical. The cars switch aerodynamic states across the lap. So the winning team is not the one with one massive strength. It is the team that can make power unit, battery deployment, cooling, drag, drivability, and setup work together without the whole thing getting messy on Sunday. Right now, Mercedes looks like the first constructor that has that under control. This is bigger than Mercedes. It is a constructor's story. Mercedes are at 135 points, Ferrari are at 90, McLaren are at 46. The gap is real, but it is not season-ending. What matters now is not who read the rules first. It is which constructor can respond fastest without damaging the parts of the car that already work. That is where this fight will be won or lost. Start with Ferrari, because Ferrari has the clearest route to hitting Mercedes where it hurts. They are a full works team. They control the whole car. In this rule set, that matters more than usual. If Mercedes are ahead because their package already works as one system, Ferrari's job is obvious. Build a cleaner total car, waste fewer weekends, and force Mercedes to race under pressure instead of controlling races from the front. Ferrari does not need magic, they need control. And if 2026 really rewards complete packages more than headline pace, Ferrari are still the most credible team to drag this into a real constructors' fight. McLaren are the team that make Mercedes' own strength dangerous to Mercedes themselves. If the Mercedes power unit is the best one on the grid, McLaren gets to weaponize it too. That changes the shape of the season. A strong customer team in a new formula is dangerous because it can spend more of its energy on chassis performance, tire usage, and race execution, instead of trying to solve every technical problem from zero. McLaren do not need to be quicker everywhere. They need to keep taking points off Mercedes, split the cars when they can, and stop this becoming a run of clean, controlled weekends. That is enough to keep the title fight breathing. Red Bull Ford are the most dangerous unknown. The upside is obvious. Red Bull still have elite chassis instincts, and if their new power unit project lands hard enough, they can absolutely get into this fight, but their risk is just as obvious. Even Red Bull's own camp went into 2026 expecting headaches from building their first in-house power units. That is not a small variable. That is the whole game. If the engine is good enough, Red Bull have the aggression and the car-building culture to make life very ugly for Mercedes. If it is not, they could spend half the season trying to design around a weakness they cannot overcome with aero alone. Aston Martin-Honda are the more dangerous threat than the current standings make them look. They have 0 points right now, so this is not about what they are today. It is about what this rule set rewards. Honda and Aston Martin have both framed 2026 around integration. Not a good engine dropped into a decent car. One integrated system. Fuel, power unit, chassis, and packaging all working in the same direction. If this era ends up rewarding the team with the fewest disconnects rather than the loudest strengths, Aston Martin-Honda are built around exactly that idea. They are not the immediate threat, but they are absolutely one of the constructors Mercedes need to worry about over time. Audi is the long-game threat. 2 points after 3 races is nothing special. But Audi did not enter Formula One to be a midfield curiosity. They entered for this rule cycle. They are a works project built around 2026 from the start. That makes them different. Not ready yet is not the same as irrelevant. Audi may not be the constructor that puts Mercedes under pressure next month, but they are exactly the kind of team that can become a problem once a new formula starts rewarding depth, learning rate, and long-term development discipline. So the real answer to who can challenge Mercedes is not one name. There are 4 different kinds of threats. Ferrari has the cleanest works team route. McLaren have the pressure route with Mercedes power behind them. Red Bull has the highest upside and the most risk. Aston Martin-Honda has the strongest integration argument if the pieces lock together. Audi is the slow burn works project in the background. That is why this season is still alive. Mercedes are leading, but the field behind them is not chasing with one idea. They're being chased from multiple angles. And that is the real danger for Mercedes. Not one rival finding 3/10 overnight, different rivals solving different parts of the formula. Ferrari tightening the total package. McLaren turning customer strength into points pressure. Red Bull unlocking the engine side enough for the chassis to matter. Aston Martin-Honda arriving later with a cleaner integrated car. Mercedes do not need one giant threat. They need the wrong mix of smaller threats landing at the wrong time. That is how an early advantage gets dragged into a war. So yes, Mercedes have a real advantage. They are not just quick, they look settled. And in a season like this, that is what puts everyone else under pressure. In a brand new era, the first team to look settled is usually the team that has understood the rules at a deeper level than the rest. But settled is not the same as untouchable. It just means everyone else is already on the clock. And that is what makes the next phase of 2026 so important. The opening races gave Mercedes control. The next stretch will decide whether anyone can take that control away. Because this season is not going to turn on one miracle upgrade, or one brilliant qualifying lap, or one chaotic weekend. It is going to turn on which constructor can build momentum without losing balance. Which team can add performance without creating new weaknesses. Which team can close the gap without breaking the parts of the car that already work. That is why Mercedes being fastest right now is only half the story. The more important question is whether Ferrari can turn coherence into pressure, whether McLaren can turn opportunity into points, whether Red Bull Ford can turn upside into a real threat, and whether Aston Martin, Honda or Audi can become more dangerous as the season develops. Because if Mercedes have understood the formula first, the rest of the field now has to prove it can understand it better. That is the real fight. Not whether Mercedes are fast, not whether they deserve to be leading. That part is already clear. The real fight is whether any constructor can build a more complete answer over a full season than the one Mercedes have right now. If one can, this becomes a championship battle. If not, this may be remembered as the moment the 2026 reset stopped looking like an equalizer and started looking like the foundation of something much bigger.